Before we begin, a note about challenging beliefs. The content you're about to hear may challenge deeply held beliefs about human origins. We understand that beliefs are core to who we are. They're the fundamental building blocks of identity and worldview. When presented with information that contradicts these beliefs, cognitive dissonance can occur, making this feel like a personal attack. This is not our intention. We present this research not to offend, but to explore alternative perspectives on human history. Your beliefs matter, and we respect them. We simply ask that you consider this evidence with an open mind, understanding that challenging existing narratives is how knowledge advances. What follows is provocative by nature, but offered in the spirit of scientific inquiry and human unity. Beneath the world's oceans lie mysteries that challenge our understanding of the ancient past. Classic pyramid structures, larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, are sitting on ocean floors worldwide. Off the coast of Cuba, pyramid structures over 600 feet tall and 0 feet of water were discovered by sonar in 2001. They show geometric formations that resemble sophisticated urban developments. Japan's Yonaguni Monument features carved steps and roads under 75 feet of ocean, a 50-meter-long structure with seemingly parallel 90-degree angles and precision-cut terraces. In the Azores, massive pyramid structures over 200 feet high sit on the Atlantic Ocean floor, discovered in 2013 by Portuguese sailor Diocleciano Silva, still puzzling experts today. The Mediterranean, the sunken city of Heraklion, Thonis, in the Mediterranean displays sophisticated urban planning. It was Egypt's largest Mediterranean port before Alexandria, revealing advanced engineering under 30 feet of water. If these pyramids are underwater, they were built before the Great Flood. Carbon dating of woolly mammoths found flash frozen with food still in their mouths proves the cataclysmic flood happened exactly 12,900 years ago. This means these underwater structures were already ancient when they went underwater. We're looking at civilizations that are 15, 0 to 20, 0 years old or more. We must thank the pioneering marine archaeologists, Dr. Robert Ballard, who revolutionized deep-sea exploration, and Frank Gaudio, whose meticulous underwater excavations revealed Heraklion's secrets. Working with the instruments of their time, these dedicated researchers opened our consciousness to possibilities beyond conventional timelines. These structures were built when sea levels were hundreds of feet lower. We're looking at advanced civilizations with technology to build massive stone monuments and plan cities that rival anything today. The carbon dating proves these weren't primitive cave dwellers. They were master engineers and architects who built these monuments thousands of years before the catastrophe struck. The largest pyramid complex ever discovered isn't in Egypt. It's on the ocean floor, carbon dated to be far older than anything we found on land. But if these ancient civilizations were real, how did they create human diversity? How did black skin become white skin in such a short period? The mathematics we're about to show you will present challenges to conventional theories about human origins. Standard population genetics presents challenges for a single founder model. Genetics works like mixing coffee and milk. Dark skin genes, coffee, strong and dominant. Light skin genes, milk, weak and recessive. Mix them together, you get coffee-colored liquid, not white milk, ever. We owe tremendous gratitude to the geneticists who first mapped these inheritance patterns, from Gregor Mendel's foundational work to modern population geneticists who developed Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium principles. Their painstaking research with basic tools laid the groundwork for our understanding. Let's run the flood survivor scenario. One light-skinned founder meets a dark-skinned population. The children, 100% dark-skinned appearance. Here's how the mathematics work. Generation 1. Light genes in 50% of children all appear dark-skinned. Generation 2. Light genes in 25% of grandchildren. Generation 3. Light genes in 12.5%. Generation 5. Light genes nearly extinct at 3.125%. Mathematical fact, you cannot create permanent racial groups this way. Modern proof that devastates single-founder theories. Albinism occurs in 1 in 20, 0 births worldwide. Light-skinned, exactly like the flood survivor stories described. If single-founder theories were correct, shouldn't albinos create permanent light-skinned populations? Answer, never. Not once in recorded history. The mathematics are brutal. Their genes get diluted and disappear. Success rate of single founders, less than 1%, but population-level adaptation works perfectly. Entire communities facing environmental pressure together create genetic change that's both rapid and successful. Inuit, Arctic adaptations in under 0 years. Success rate, over 90%. Pacific Islanders, UV resistance developed independently. Success rate, over 90%. European populations, low light adaptations. Success rate, over 90%. Even those who challenge these genetic calculations serve an important purpose. Their scrutiny forces us to strengthen our mathematical models and refine our evidence. Academic debate makes science stronger. The evidence is overwhelming. Racial diversity requires separate populations adapting independently over time, and the carbon dating proves this happened in evolutionary lightning speed. But here's what will blow your mind. Ancient maps exist showing impossible knowledge of places that were unmappable for thousands of years. Prepare to have your mind blown. Ancient maps show Antarctica completely ice-free with detailed coastlines, rivers, and mountains that are now buried under miles of ice. Piri Reis Map 1513. Antarctica's coastline in perfect detail. No ice, no glaciers, rivers, and mountain ranges mapped with impossible precision. Aurentius Phineas Map 1531. Antarctic rivers, mountains, inland features mapped with surgical precision, showing a continent that was warm and habitable. Mercator Map 1569. Impossible geographical accuracy of a continent supposedly undiscovered until 1820. The detail is so precise it matches modern satellite imagery. Honoring the cartographers and historians who preserved these remarkable documents. From the Renaissance map makers who carefully copied ancient sources to modern researchers who recognized their significance. These dedicated researchers opened our eyes to the possibility of ancient advanced knowledge that challenges everything we thought we knew. Here's the kicker that changes everything. These Renaissance map makers explicitly stated they copied from much older source maps. Someone mapped Antarctica when it was ice-free and habitable, exactly 0 years ago. Long before any known civilization should have possessed such advanced cartographic abilities, carbon dating evidence proves everything beyond doubt. The woolly mammoths flash frozen at exactly 900 years ago show us the precise moment when catastrophe struck, indicating ancient civilizations who were already ancient when disaster hit. Under that ice lie the ruins of the most advanced pre-flood civilization ever discovered. But what could cause Earth to shift 3 degrees off its axis instantly? The evidence shows it happened in a flash. Tropical animals frozen mid-meal, food still in their mouths, lush forests buried under miles of ice in moments. Woolly mammoths flash frozen so perfectly their meat was still edible after 0 years. Proving the speed of this catastrophic event, 3 theories point to the same timeline. Massive cosmic impact knocked Earth sideways. The Younger Dryas impact hypothesis 900 years ago. Solar micronova destabilized our magnetic field, causing planetary chaos. Massive celestial bodies' gravitational pull threw Earth's rotation into complete chaos. Grateful to climatologists and geologists who identified the Younger Dryas period. Their ice core research and geological surveys revealed this catastrophic timeline with scientific precision. All 3 theories point to 0 years ago, scattering human populations into the ultimate survival challenge. Advanced coastal civilizations obliterated in a flash. The carbon dating of flash-frozen animals proves the timing with scientific certainty. Ancient flood memories from every culture suddenly make perfect sense. These aren't fairy tales or religious mythology, but preserved testimonies of survivors with carbon evidence backing every detail. What happened next reveals how black skin became white skin in the fastest genetic transformation in human history. This is the most incredible survival story in human history. European populations were forced into cave systems for thousands of years during brutal Ice Age conditions. These weren't primitive cavemen. They were survivors of sophisticated civilizations carrying genetic blueprints and cultural memories of everything lost. We owe immense gratitude to archaeological teams who excavated sites like Sweden's Motala. Working in harsh conditions with basic tools, they revealed evidence of rapid genetic transformation that challenges conventional evolutionary timelines. Their meticulous fieldwork opened new chapters in human adaptation research. Here's the smoking gun evidence that proves the timeline. Carbon dating shows the catastrophe struck at 900 years ago, flash freezing everything instantly. The survivors who made it to the caves were the dark-skinned descendants of advanced civilizations. But by 700 years ago, proven by the Motala site, these populations had already developed light skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair. That's black skin becoming white skin in just over 50 years. Evolutionary lightning speed. Deep in caves, under extreme pressure from zero sunlight and radical dietary changes, something unprecedented happened. Light skin developed through 3 separate genetic pathways simultaneously. Genetic transformations that normally require hundreds of thousands of years happening in under 0 years. Evolution in overdrive. Sweden's 700-year-old Motala site proves northern populations developed light skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair independently while adapting to Arctic diets of fish, seal, and reindeer. Meanwhile, southern European cave populations created different genetic solutions while surviving on cave-adapted foods. Mushrooms, roots, hibernating animals. The real story isn't one man founding races through impossible genetics. It's entire communities of dark-skinned survivors adapting together under extreme pressure, rapidly developing light skin to survive in near-zero sunlight conditions. The same pattern globally. Pacific Islanders engineered UV resistance while mastering ocean diets, developing melanin regulation systems 300% more efficient than baseline populations. Arctic populations crafted cold weather adaptations, enlarged livers to process vitamin A from seal meat, compact body structures conserving heat with 40% greater efficiency. Desert populations developed heat tolerance and water conservation, creating kidney efficiency rates 300% above global averages while surviving on minimal water sources. The carbon dating proves this happened in record time. Every human population carries genetic signatures of rapid adaptation to post-catastrophe environments. Even geneticists who initially questioned rapid adaptation timelines deserve recognition. Their skepticism pushed researchers to develop more sophisticated DNA analysis techniques, ultimately proving that extreme environmental pressure can accelerate genetic change dramatically. The DNA evidence is overwhelming. Modern racial diversity isn't millions of years of gradual change. It's the biological fingerprint of survivors adapting to catastrophic environmental shifts in mere millennia. The carbon dating proves exactly when black skin became white skin. But the most mind-bending revelation is coming next. This is the most incredible survival story in human history. What you're about to discover will leave you stunned at the incredible resilience and adaptability of our species. When catastrophe struck exactly 900 years ago, proven by carbon dating of flash-frozen animals, survivors were hurled into mountain caves, Arctic wastelands, tropical islands, and scorching desert regions. Each group faced environmental challenges that would either transform them into something extraordinary or eliminate them entirely. Safety became paramount over food. Traditional food sources disappeared overnight. Fertile coastal plains vanished under hundreds of feet of water in moments. Tropical forests froze solid instantly. Desert regions became uninhabitable wastelands in a flash. We must acknowledge the anthropologists and cultural historians who first recognized that flood stories weren't just random mythology. They identified recurring patterns across disconnected cultures that suggested shared historical memory. Their comparative work, even with limited cross-cultural data, laid the foundation for understanding collective human experience. The carbon dating evidence proves the exact timeline of this transformation. In European regions, entire populations survived in cave systems during the most brutal ice age conditions imaginable. But these weren't primitive survivors. They were inheritors of sophisticated civilizations, preserving both genetic adaptations and precious cultural memories. Here's the proof of how black skin became white skin. The dark-skinned survivors who entered the caves at 900 years ago emerged as light-skinned populations by 700 years ago. The carbon dating proves this incredible transformation happened in just over 50 years. Meanwhile, Across the globe, Pacific Islander communities engineered enhanced UV resistance while developing sustainable ocean-based nutrition systems. Arctic populations crafted brilliant cold weather adaptations while mastering frozen landscape survival techniques. Desert communities developed remarkable heat tolerance while creating water conservation strategies in seemingly barren environments. With conviction, this validates everything our mathematics predicted. When entire communities face extreme environmental pressure as united groups, including complete dietary transformations, genetic adaptation happens with lightning speed and stunning success. The flood survivor symbolism becomes clear. It represents not impossible individual genetics, but the collective memory of community survival and adaptation. The carbon dating proves these transformations happened in evolutionary record time. What we're about to uncover will show you this isn't just survival. It's the greatest comeback story ever told. But here's the breakthrough evidence that proves everything beyond doubt. When mankind's food sources were destroyed in that catastrophic moment 12,900 years ago, something unprecedented happened in human biology. Modern doctors and microbiologists have now proven that the microbiome inside our belly, the essential bacteria that helps us digest food, underwent a dramatic transformation exactly 12,000 years ago. This isn't coincidence. This is direct biological proof of the dietary catastrophe that survivors faced. The microbiome evidence reveals the exact moment when human populations were forced to completely change their food sources overnight. From abundant coastal diets rich in fish and marine resources to desperate cave survival on mushrooms, roots, and whatever they could find. From tropical fruits and vegetation to Arctic seal meat and reindeer. The bacterial colonies in our digestive systems had to completely adapt to process entirely different foods. This microbiome transformation required thousands of years to stabilize, leaving a permanent biological signature in every human population today. But here's the most remarkable revelation that changes everything we thought we knew about human origins. Before the flood, there was no human diversity. Archaeological and genetic evidence suggests there was only one kind of human population. The racial diversity we see today didn't exist in the pre-flood world. This wasn't a planet of different races competing for resources. This was a unified human civilization with shared knowledge, shared technology, and shared genetic characteristics. The flood survivors who scattered across the globe all carried the same genetic foundation. What we call racial differences today aren't evidence of separate human origins evolving over millions of years. They're the rapid biological adaptations of genetically identical survivors forced into completely different post-catastrophe environments. The microbiome changes prove the timeline. The genetic bottleneck evidence confirms the unified pre-flood population. The carbon dating shows the exact moment of transformation. We weren't different races who somehow came together to build advanced civilizations. We were one advanced civilization whose survivors became different through environmental pressure in just a few thousand years. This explains why every ancient megalithic site worldwide shows the same advanced engineering principles, the same mathematical precision, the same astronomical alignments. Because they were all built by the same unified pre-flood civilization before the catastrophe scattered humanity across the globe. The microbiome evidence is the smoking gun that proves rapid adaptation timeline. When your digestive system has to completely change what it can process, your entire biology follows. Skin pigmentation for vitamin D synthesis, body structure for temperature regulation, metabolic rate for food scarcity adaptation. All driven by the desperate need to survive in environments completely different from the original coastal civilization. This validates every piece of evidence we've presented. The underwater ruins were built by our unified ancestors. The impossible maps were created by that same advanced civilization. The flood stories are preserved memories of the same catastrophic event that scattered one people into the survival challenge that created modern human diversity. This is the revelation that changes everything forever. What we're about to reveal will unite humanity in the most beautiful and powerful way imaginable. Those flood myths that exist in virtually every culture on Earth, they're not fairy tales about one impossible family tree. They're preserved memories of multiple surviving populations, each carrying the precious cultural DNA of the pre-flood world. Every single culture preserved essentially the same story because every culture descended from catastrophe survivors who witnessed the end of that advanced pre-flood world with their own eyes. This isn't coincidence. This is collective memory spanning thousands of years, and the carbon dating of flash-frozen animals proves the exact timing of what they witnessed. The flood survivor symbolism becomes crystal clear. It doesn't represent one man who somehow founded entire races through impossible genetics. It represents all of them, every survivor, every community, every population that faced the end of their world and chose to rebuild rather than surrender. It is the symbol of human resilience, the collective memory of our species' greatest challenge and greatest triumph. Here's the truth that changes everything. We are not separate races locked in eternal competition for dominance. We are one magnificent human family with absolutely the most extraordinary survival story in history. Every human being carries the genetic signature of ancestors who survived impossible conditions and rebuilt civilization from fragments of memory. The diversity we observe in human populations today isn't evidence of separate origins or evolutionary competition. It's living proof of the incredible adaptability of our species. We are all flood survivors' children. Not through individual heredity, but through shared survival and collective adaptation. We are the inheritors of the greatest survival story ever told. The evidence is literally written in our DNA. Perfectly preserved in underwater ruins and lovingly encoded in the flood stories of every culture on Earth, the choice is entirely yours. Continue accepting outdated mythology that artificially divides us, or embrace the truth. We are one extraordinary family, carrying the genetic and cultural legacy of the most advanced civilizations in human history. Welcome to the real human story. Welcome to understanding exactly who we really are.